Hello, ladies and gents. I hope you're well. Welcome to this Sunday's episode of the Shamir Shah Project. I'm looking outside and I can't help but feel, it is grey. It is very deep grey and it has been raining non-stop. I'm not sure where you are in the world or where you are in the UK, but if you're in the southeast of England or particularly in London, it has been raining non-stop for 4 days. Honestly, I'm not kidding. It's been chucking it down and pouring down and raining non-stop for 4 days. And hence, here's why I'm doing this video from within the camper. Can rainy days make you feel down and out? So here's my question and here's the topic for today. Can rainy days make you feel down? It's absolutely incredible. It's June. It's the middle of June. We should be basking in the summer sunshine right now. But the rain is probably way overdue. We haven't had much rain in spring. In fact, we had a heat wave and more summery weather in spring, so the rain is probably a little overdue. I'm just looking out and I think, you know what? We need the rain. We can see and observe that the grass was quite dry recently. The bushes were kind of dry and yellowy. So the rain is definitely overdue and much needed. So yeah, lots of my plants I can see out there are a bit brown and yellow, but hey, they're turning green now the last few days. So that's good. And most of all, I just want you to know that it's okay. It's absolutely okay not to want to do anything. It's absolutely okay not to go out for a few days into the wilderness and into nature. It's absolutely okay to take a few weeks off away from nature if you feel like it. There's nothing wrong with it. But just as long as you know that it's a little temporary thing where you do normally get out into the wilderness, you do normally get out into nature, you do actually engage in these outdoor activities, but sometimes you just don't feel like doing that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So bringing back the question of how does a rainy day make you feel? Does it bring you down? What sort of emotions and feelings do you get from a rainy day? And they are quite complicated emotions. They are quite complicated issues that some people have. But I just want you to know that it's okay if you feel like that, because there is always the brighter side. There will always be a brighter side, and that will turn your outdoor activities, your outdoor adventures into something special when you haven't been out for a long period of time. The outdoors are always going to be there, and when you take some time away from the outdoors, and if you feel you need to take some time away simply because of the weather, circumstances, when you actually go back into nature, you will appreciate it that much more. It's absolutely incredible how much you appreciate something when it's not there. So it brings me to question, what do you do and how do you feel when the weather is not the best for you? Or how do you feel when you're feeling a little bit down and out and it's just a little bit unfair in terms of the weather. It's a little bit miserable out there because of the rain, and it's been raining for 4 days here. So how do you feel when the weather is not going the way you want it to because it's out of your control? Like I said, there are complicated issues people have with how they feel when the weather is not suited to them. The issues can range in terms of how they feel, how they behave, and how they convey their emotions. So for example, some people overdo it on comfort food. Because it's raining and you're more likely to stay indoors, a little bit of comfort food goes a long way. And it's not for everybody, but a lot of people, this is an issue. So they'll end up having lots of coffee, probably lots of tea, probably lots of sugary foods, probably foods high in carbohydrates, and therefore that might make them feel better and uplifted because of the sugar in the food and the carbohydrates in the food and the caffeine. So a lot of people actually revert to other solutions when they're indoors. When it's raining outside, then they have to be indoors. They don't have to be, but when they normally choose to be indoors, then they revert to certain behaviors, and one of them is comfort eating. So it is an issue. It can be a problem for some. For some, not so much, because they'll burn it the very same day or the next day or within a few days of doing some vigorous exercises. Some people are motivated after they have certain types of foods to actually go out and do things. It's different for different people. For some, they use comfort foods to actually make them feel better, and that can be quite disastrous, especially over a long period of time. So something to bear in mind. The second problem can also be antisocial behavior. So not necessarily causing damage or causing damage to public property or your own property, but actually being antisocial. You don't want to go out, you want to stay indoors, you don't want to socialize, you don't want to go and engage with people, you want to stay in the office, you want to stay at home, you just want to be wrapped up in a comfort zone. And that can be a big issue for some, especially if the weather is not changing for a long period of time and it's a bit gloomy and it's a bit cold and you don't want to actually get out and do something and be social. That can be a lethal issue for some people, and the best thing is to at least be aware of that and to understand that, hold on a minute, I think I'll go out and do something different amongst people. I don't want to be tied down in the office or at home for long periods of time while the weather is not very good, because it'll make you feel even more gloomy, even more deprived of the social side of life. So that's something to bear in mind. The third most common issue when the weather is not very nice, and probably the most damaging issue, is that people tend to stay indoors. That can be very damaging. Being indoors, being isolated from the things you love, which could be nature, being outdoors, being amongst people, it can cause a lot of problems for people. So staying indoors is probably more damaging than any of the other issues that people may have, from not being able to get outside into nature or get outside and fare the weather. So not only do you stay indoors, but you end up, again with the 2 points I mentioned before, you end up being antisocial. You probably end up eating a lot more comfort food, and then on top of that, you're staying indoors. You probably turn off the lights. You may even jump into bed and try and stay warm, or just try and comfort yourself from actually getting outside and just enjoying it. So that can be very damaging, to remain indoors when the weather is not very good, if it's cold, if it's raining. So when you combine comfort eating, being antisocial, and remaining indoors when the weather is not going your way, is probably the worst 3 combinations that can affect the way you behave, the way you emotionally behave towards others or towards yourself, and how you sort of isolate yourself from thoughts, from emotions, from people, how you isolate yourself from the things you love to do normally. That can be very damaging. So those 3 are the biggest problems around the world, not just the UK, around the world, when the weather is not going your way. Something to be really aware of. And there are things you can do about it, so many different things you can do about it. You just have to uplift yourself and get out and do these activities that you would normally love to do. So guys, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you can call it whatever you want. Feeling down, gloomy, miserable, or even depressive if you want. The fact is, many people globally suffer from horrid rainy weather. They do. Some people suffer from snowy cold weather, some people from rainy weather. People do suffer from it. A lot of people absolutely love those times of the year when it's raining or when it's snow in winter. Some people absolutely love it, and they really get out and do more things when it's that sort of weather. But like I said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with how you might feel if the weather is not suited to you. The most important thing is you get out and do something. It could be talking to people, it could be talking to just one person, it could be just taking a walk in a park, it could be just walking your dog, it could be going to the shopping mall if you feel like it, it could be just going for a drive. Just get out no matter what the weather. So, what do you do to lift yourself out of the doom and gloom of rainy weather syndrome? What do you do? I'll just leave you with one thought. There is nothing like bad weather, only the wrong clothing. Well, there you go guys, not my typical outdoor wilderness activity video, but definitely a video that will give you some food for thought. So think about it. At the same time, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you uplift yourself from rainy weather. At the same time, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe right there or up here. Subscribe please. And if you have enjoyed the thought process behind this video, please go ahead and smash that like button. And I will see you out and about very soon. Peace.